When searching for information about the T-150, many people often confuse it with the famous agricultural tractor produced by the Kharkiv tractor plant, a familiar image in Soviet and Ukrainian farming. However, in the context of early World War II armored vehicle development, T-150 had a very different meaning. It was the designation for a prototype heavy tank, also known by its project name Object 150 or KV 150. Developed as the Soviet Union raced to strengthen its armored forces under growing pressure from the German military, the T-150 was an upgraded variant of the renowned KV-1. The project reflected Soviet engineers' efforts to enhance firepower, improve armor protection, and address shortcomings exposed in combat. Although the T-150 never entered mass production, it served as a crucial link in the evolution from early heavy tank designs like the KV-1 to more advanced models, eventually leading to the legendary IS series. Largely forgotten in the lesser-known chapters of Soviet armored history, the T-150 not only represented the ambitions of a defense industry under immense strain, but also highlighted the internal challenges facing Soviet tank development during the fierce technological race of World War II. The emergence of the T-150 prototype reflects the Soviet Union's continuous efforts to develop heavy tanks in the late 1930s and early 1940s, particularly after the experiences gained from the Winter War with Finland. While the KV-1 series impressed with its thick armor, it quickly revealed weaknesses in mechanical reliability and engine performance. In this context, under Stalin's pressure, Soviet military leadership demanded the development of heavier tank designs capable of withstanding the strongest anti-tank guns the enemy could deploy. From May 1940, discussions to enhance the armor of the KV series were initiated. By July 17th of the same year, an official decree assigned the Kirov factory, LKZ, the task of developing new versions of the KV equipped with armor thickness ranging from 90 to 100 millimeters and armed with a 76 millimeter F-32 or 85 millimeter gun, with the goal of completion within the year. To meet this requirement, in August 1940, two design teams were established at LKZ under the leadership of Chief Engineer J.G. Kotin. The team, led by L.N. Pereverzev, was tasked with developing a tank model with 90 millimeters of armor, designated as T-150, or Object 150 KV 150. The design of the T-150 was primarily based on the KV-1 chassis, reinforced with an additional 15 millimeter thick outer armor and an observation dome for the commander on top of the turret. However, the prototype's production was delayed as the Izora factory had to prioritize parts production for the KV-1 series. By the end of 1940 or early 1941, the T-150 prototype was officially completed. On January 15, 1941, the T-150 entered the testing phase. The test quickly revealed several serious issues. The V5 engine with 700 horsepower frequently overheated, the cooling system was inefficient, and the added weight placed strain on the suspension system. The new observation dome, intended to improve visibility, was considered inconvenient and actually limited the crew's line of sight. Despite its many flaws, on March 15, 1941, the T-150 was approved for mass production under the name KV-3. However, the rapidly changing strategic situation and concerns over the German advances in armored warfare forced Soviet leadership to adjust their plans. Instead of continuing with the T-150, they ordered the development of a new heavy tank model with thicker armor and stronger firepower, paving the way for the upgraded KV-3 projects. As a result, the T-150 project was canceled, and the mass production plans were abandoned just before the start of Operation Barbarossa. Although it never saw combat, the T-150 is still regarded as an important milestone, marking the transition in Soviet heavy tank development from the KV-1 to more advanced generations. The T-150, a heavy tank prototype, was a unique product of the collaboration between the giant Kirov factory, LKZ, and the Steelworks Azora factory during the period of 1940 to 1941. This monster was operated by a five-man crew consisting of a commander, gunner, loader, driver, and radio operator who also served as the hull machine gunner, reflecting the complex operational demands of these heavy steel machines at the time. The standout feature of the T-150 was its thick armor with 90 millimeters of steel protecting the entire hull and turret from the front to the sides and rear. Compared to the 75 millimeters of armor on the KV-1 models of the same era, the T-150 was truly a mobile fortress. Moreover, the top and floor of the vehicle were reinforced with 30 to 40 millimeters of steel, enhancing its survivability against aerial threats and landmines. Alongside its thick armor, the T-150 boasted formidable firepower. It was equipped with a 76.2 millimeter F-32 main gun, a significant upgrade of the L-11 gun mounted on early KV-1 models, with 111 rounds of ammunition and three 7.62 millimeter DT coaxial machine guns positioned at the front of the hull, coaxial with the main gun, and at the rear of the turret. The T-150 was designed for both offensive and defensive capabilities in close combat. Its heart was the V5 diesel engine, a V12 liquid-cooled engine producing 700 horsepower, providing the necessary power for a 50-ton armored machine. The T-150's transmission and suspension systems were inherited from the KV-1, featuring a mechanical transmission and an 8-wheel torsion bar suspension evenly distributed on both sides of the hull. Despite its massive weight, the T-150 could reach a top speed of 35 to 36 kilometers per hour on good roads, with a range of approximately 220 kilometers, an impressive figure for a prototype heavy tank of the era. Although it had thick armor, strong firepower, and improvements aimed at crew survivability, the T-150 could not overcome practical barriers. Technical issues, the pressures of the time, and changes in strategic requirements led to the cancellation of the prototype before it had a chance to enter combat. Despite being limited to the testing phase, the T-150 is still regarded as a notable effort by the Soviet military industry in the race to create invincible tanks, paving the way for future generations of heavy tanks. A unique prototype with many technical flaws, the heavy tank T-150, Marinlek T-150, nevertheless found its way into real combat on the Leningrad front, creating a rare story in Soviet weaponry history. The T-150, a prototype completed in late 1940, was initially expected to become the mass-produced KV-3 model. In March 1941, this plan was approved, but quickly suspended due to changing tactical requirements and unresolved technical issues. When the Soviet-German War broke out, the T-150 was still just a single prototype. In the fall of 1941, as the Red Army's forces in Leningrad were stretched thin, all available combat equipment was mobilized. On October 11, 1941, the T-150 joined the 123rd Tank Brigade. It was later transferred to the 33rd Guards Heavy Tank Regiment, operating in the Neva Dubrovka bridgehead, one of the harshest battlefields. Here, the T-150 earned the nickname Som Catfish and was assigned the battle number 220. With its 90 millimeter thick armor, the tank survived numerous heavy artillery barrages and continued fighting after each repair. The crew of Catfish recorded several victories, destroying many enemy targets on the battlefield. On May 18, 1943, the T-150 was heavily damaged and had to withdraw for repairs. After being restored, it returned to combat in July, but only held out for a little over a month. On August 18, 1943, the tank and its entire crew perished in a fierce battle, marking the end of this lone prototype's nearly 2-year combat journey. The resilience of the T-150, despite its technical shortcomings, reflects the desperate circumstances and the indomitable spirit of the Red Army during the darkest days of the Leningrad front. The Catfish T-150, though only a test prototype, became a symbol of the unyielding will to fight amid the smoke and flames of war. In the history of Soviet armored vehicles, the T-150 is not just a technically flawed prototype, but also a silent symbol of the relentless efforts during the intense arms race at the outset of World War II. From an ambitious design that was dismissed due to changing tactical requirements, to its solitary yet courageous combat journey in Leningrad, the Catfish T-150 proved that even an incomplete machine could leave an indelible mark. Though it existed as a single unit, the T-150 deserves to be remembered as part of the story of resilience and sacrifice by both the people and machines that fought to the end during the darkest days of the war.